Hello, I'm your host, Peter Komendowski, and welcome to Surviving Bad, where we explore stories of survival, hope, and inspiration. Children today are spending more time than ever before on the internet, a very unfortunate byproduct of increased media use and a child's curiosity is an increase in the use of online porn. Imagine, if you will, how much effort we put into teaching a child how to drive. We train them, get a permit, ride with them, get insurance, monitor where and when they go, and pray they act responsibly when we give them the keys to the car.
Mm.
Yet, when we give them a smartphone or computer, we hand them the keys to the internet with almost no direct supervision. We let them unlock a world of risks, like pornography, that is often where a child's curiosity takes them. Today, we welcome Linda Holub from the Siouxland Coalition Against Human Trafficking and Dr. Josh McDowell, a celebrated author and ministry leader, to share the truth about pornography. Linda, welcome to the show. Tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're here.
Well, I'm the co-chair of the Siouxland Coalition Against Human Trafficking in the Siouxland area, which encompasses Iowa, Nebraska, and South Dakota. And I have been the co-chair since 2014, when a group of people decided that they cared enough about the slavery of human trafficking that they wanted to get together and form an organization. Well, what we found since we've been working in this area is that one of the drivers of sex trafficking is pornography. And we're also an organization whose mission is to work toward abolishing all forms of human trafficking through education, collaboration, and advocacy. So part of that education is prevention, and part of that prevention is helping parents to know what the danger signs are on their social media, the children and their phones. It's opened up, like you said, a huge arena for bad. What was meant for good, the evil one finds a way to use it for negative things, and children can be affected. Their whole sexuality idea is distorted from very early age because of their access to the cell phones, which then brings them into the pornography arena.
Yeah, we do know, Linda, that we have such great evidence of all of the evils that have been propagated by pornographers and pornography, and how they take advantage of children, how addictive it is. I'm sure we'll talk about that.
Mhm.
But I think one of the other reasons that we really wanted to do the show is that so many parents and caregivers don't really know how to address the issue, or are afraid to. They don't think their children are doing it. And from what we're seeing statistically, prior to the time when we now put children on the internet a lot more, even for education and classes, about 80% of 13-year-old boys were accessing porn regularly. And these numbers are now going up, and that's pretty huge.
Well, Dr. Josh McDowell has done some research with Barna Group, and they have documented all of this as to how often young people are accessing it and how it's damaging their brains and their view of sexuality. So I want to introduce Dr. Josh McDowell, and that's why we're having him for the conference that we're putting on, the porn epidemic, in August 10th in Sioux City, Iowa. So I want to introduce Dr. Josh McDowell.
Hello, Josh.
Thanks.
Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Linda. It's good to be with you, Peter.
Tell us a little bit about what your mission is. You've done quite a bit of research on pornography. Can you put this problem in perspective for parents today?
Yes. I'm what people call an apologist, setting forth positive reasons. And I study youth culture. And about 8 years ago, I sensed there's something going on. I couldn't put my finger on it. It was eroding the authority of their parents, of their teacher, of their pastor, of their church, and all. And it took me a whole year. Usually I can pinpoint the problem. I remember I called my wife and I said, I found out what it is. It's pervasive internet pornography.
Mm.
What I saw when a child starts watching pornography, there starts to be an erosion of the source of their authority. Their parents, their pastor, their teacher, Jesus, the Bible, whatever you want to say, it starts to erode. And that's what I noticed. And I think most parents do not realize, most people don't know how big porn is. Right now, just one click away with my cell phone, right here, I can access 2.3 billion pornographic web pages. Just one click away. There's about 29 million different pornographic websites. You say, yeah, but it's not that big. Not that big, just one site. Just one site. What they distribute in a 24-hour period would fill, printed out on an 8.5 by 11 paper, would fill the entire Empire State Building. It's that big. Another site, what it produces every 30 days would fill several million 4-drawer file cabinets. That's only one site. And it's all just one click away. And so to ever discuss pornography, you got to realize how big it is.
And Josh, you said something important there, and that was that once they start watching porn, there is that separation, erosion of the parents' a relationship with them and other people. And I think it's because of the shame. They kind of instinctively know that it's shameful and it's wrong, and they don't want to they don't want to confront their parents with what's going on in their lives. And so that's where that division comes in.
Excellent observation, Linda. Shame and fear of exposure. Those two things start to break down the relationships. For example, more than half of evangelical pastors are addicted to pornography, about 57%.
Wow.
Oh, I mean, it's hard to believe.
Mind blowing.
And I remember Chuck Swindoll called me, Pastor of Swindoll said, and he told me why I couldn't get pastors out to conferences on pornography. He said, shame, fear, and ignorance. And then Jim Dobson calls me, says, who do you want to reach? I said, I want to reach influencers in the business world, the educational world, and pastors. He said, pastors won't come. And I said, why, Jim? Shame, fear, and ignorance. The same thing, Chuck Swindoll. And you know what? I invited about 70,000 pastors with their first names, everything, at the first ever global conference called Set Free on Porn. 18 pastors showed up.
Wow.
That's a phenomenal point. I tell you what, I want to explore too. We're going to take a short break, and I'd like to explore that connection between kids looking for porn and porn looking for children, because it's not necessarily them necessarily looking for it and how addictive it is. So when we come back from the break, we'll continue the conversation about this most important topic and how porn affects your children. You don't want to miss this. See you after the break.
I don't know how we would have survived without Mediacom. We have 5 kids, my wife and I, and we have Mediacom for all of our internet and all of our cable services. So I'm stuck in my house, but at the same time, I'm connected to people all over the world, and it's been fantastic.
Thanks to Mediacom, I've had reliable internet to continue to work business as usual, that I can continue to provide for myself and my family.
Right now, we all feel like the world is in a standstill. The internet has played a huge role in allowing us to stay connected to our jobs and the kids schooling online and finding fun and creative ways to stay connected with the ones that we love. We couldn't do it without Mediacom.
Welcome back to Surviving Bad on Mediacom MC22, and we're talking about pornography and how it affects your children. Josh, I want to bring up this point. It's not just children looking for porn, it's porn is actively looking for children. They know how to attract them, and it's highly addictive. What can you share with us about that?
One of the most heartbreaking comments I get, and I get them all the time from parents, well, you know, my child is a good child. We have family devotions. We've taught our child well. My child is not going to look for pornography. I go, oh, lady, you missed the point. Yes, your child is probably a wonderful child, and your child probably won't look for pornography. But you got to understand, pornography is looking for your child and absolutely will find your child. And the best children I don't know how a child can go through 5 to 12 years old and not be incredibly exposed to pornography.
Well, the average age you've said is 11 years old, so we know that even younger men and women, young women, children are being exposed to it. But here's the thing: it usually happens. I mean, there's a couple of ways, and Josh, you can tell me if this isn't true. A couple of ways this happens. It's either on social media where they pretend to be a classmate and a friend, and they lure them into chat rooms, and then they eventually meet with them. Or that's one way. But the other way is gaming, that there's a feature, a chat feature on most games that allows a stranger to come into your home and talk to your child without you knowing it and without that child knowing it's a predator as opposed to a classmate. And that's where it happens most frequently. And there are even some games, and I can't remember the name of them, but they won't let you know how competitive people are when they're doing these games online. They won't let you go past this picture unless you click on it to finish your game. And then the pictures get more and more graphic. And there's another way where the porn is looking for them. If they're
You know,
not looking for it, it's introduced in this way.
I've
Also,
also
Linda,
noticed that when children engage in things like porn, it becomes viral. They get other kids involved and it moves around.
Yes.
And the industry knows how to move them. And what's fascinating to me is that we grow up as parents we know you have these powerful circles of influence, our family, our faith, our community, and society as a whole. Great values, great transmission. But when the child is sitting in a home, whether it's in their living room or in their bedroom, those people purveying things like porn are way out of all those positive spheres of influence. They're coming from out in left field. These are very dangerous
Right.
influences.
we're missing one of the most important reasons with kids. The porn industry, the porn industry has triggers on almost every word that young people use. If they misspell it in any way, they don't have this for adults. They misspell it in any way, it'll immediately click onto porn. And that's one of the biggest ways that they get kids connected is by doing that. You know, another way that just ticks me off during the pandemic lockdown, Pornhub, the largest site in the world, gave Italy 1 full month of free of the most extreme porn, 1 month free on the internet. They did it in Korea. They're going to do it in the United States. Every country in the world, they'll get as a gift 1 month free of the most extreme porn. But here's the connection between youth pornography and sex trafficking. You go through a progression. You might start out, you see all other addictions, you need more of it to feed your addiction. That's not true with porn. With porn, you need different, not more, you need different. And so they'll start out, and I'm going to use straightforward language here. They'll start out with heterosexual porn. After a while, that wears off. If you have more of it, won't satisfy. You go to maybe homosexual porn. After a while, that doesn't satisfy. That wears off. If you keep going back to it, you get depressed. You have to go to different. Then you go to maybe anal pornography and then oral pornography. Almost every person will end up with child pornography. Where do you go after that? You go to acting it out. You see, porn in this progression leads up to why we need Thailand and everything else for those addicted to child pornography. Because once they've got to act it out, where do they go? They go to Thailand, they go to Atlanta, they go to Chicago, they go to Sioux City, others. And that's one of the greatest causes of trafficking is the progression in porn. And I don't know how Linda would say in this, but I would say the number one cause of child sex trafficking is pornography. There's many other reasons, but number one is pornography. And these pornographers, they're brilliant, they're smart. They have a strategy to reach our kids.
Well, that's
not only that,
pornography is point.
I was going to say pornography is used to groom young people into sex trafficking as well, so that they can, if they haven't been sexually abused as a child, which is a part of grooming for the trafficker. If they've been sexually abused, they're already groomed. But if they haven't been groomed in that way, they have to show them enough pornography that all their inhibitions start to fade away and that they'll do the acts that are on the porn. Otherwise, they wouldn't.
These are wonderful points, and I want to address them. We need to take a short break, and when we come back, we want to make sure we talk about that upcoming conference on the porn epidemic that you're doing out in Siouxland.
Okay.
You don't want to miss this. We'll see you guys after the break.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Welcome back to Surviving Bad. Today there are aspects of this COVID-19 epidemic that can breed other problems, and one of them is pornography. Linda has a conference coming up to help people deal with the problem. Let's hear what she has to say about it. Welcome back to the show, Linda.
Thank you so much. I'm so thankful that we are going to have the Porn Epidemic Conference in Sioux City, Iowa on August 10th at the Sioux City Convention Center. It will be from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. There will be a meal provided. People can register at www.siouxlandagainsttrafficking.org, the porn epidemic. Students are free. We're eager to have college students and high school students come if possible so that they can understand the real harm that comes from this. And we're so eager to have Dr. Josh McDowell and Ben Bennett as our keynote speakers. And Josh, would you like to tell us a little bit more about what you're going to talk about in this conference?
Well, I'll tell you why I'm excited about this conference and why I committed to coming to it is the Sioux City Coalition really understands the issues. So many that are putting on conferences like this are superficial. You folks understand the issues. And unless you understand the issues, you can't come up with the right solutions. Another is you see the value of parents. I don't know how any child can make it unless they have a loving, intimate connection with their daddy. And so many don't. But you see the value of parents, and then you see the value of education. But most of all, you're attacking it from every segment of society, from government all the way down, involving the church, the school, the family, everything. And I like to be a part of something that's relevant. Well, you folks are relevant, and I want to be a part of it.
Now, that's really a great point. When we look at this problem, it doesn't discriminate based on age or sex or religion or anything. It hits everybody.
And you don't have to translate it. You don't have to translate it into any language.
Well, that's a good point.
That's a great point.
And you don't have to go looking for it because it's looking for you.
I can tell you firsthand, when I research speakers on pornography and information, in the next week or so, I get more porn coming into my spam folder.
Oh, wow.
And I'm trying to research information on how to fight it. So even
that's an interesting
the other
point.
direction, they find you.
And an interesting point, because if you want to get to educators, if you have, or this city employees, you can't put the word porn in your email or they won't accept you. You can't tell them about it through normal channels. So I'm glad to have this channel to be able to talk about it for educators.
Yeah, well, and for parents, it's so important to get through to parents that no matter how great your kid is, this is highly addictive and dangerous. And if they're exposed to it, they're at risk, no matter how well behaved they are, how well educated they are. And even with caring and loving parents, I talk about media as a positive thing. We don't want to demonize it. It's let us understand huge problems around the world. But it's like a hammer. If you build a house with it, you've built something good. You hit somebody in the head with it, you've hurt them. And if you don't just hand a child a hammer and let them walk around the house to figure out how it works, but we've done this with the internet. How do we get parents re-engaged on monitoring their children and talking to them about this? Josh, you have any ideas?
I was going to say that there's some part here that we need to really discuss, and that's the brain chemistry that Dr. Josh McDowell can talk about, that the brain is actually changed by being addicted to porn. and they aren't the
Within
same after
seconds.
that.
Within seconds.
So it's like a drug.
It's like a hit of cocaine or meth.
It
Well, I hear
triggers the
it's more
same
addictive.
chemicals in your brain as heroin and cocaine. It's far harder to break pornography addiction than heroin or cocaine. It's far harder because of what it does to your brain. When it passes in front of your screen, within a half second, it starts a process that within about 6 to 10 minutes, your brain is physically, biologically changed. This is why when parents will say, well, I just tell my child, when it comes up on their iPhone, just don't look at it. It's too late. It just takes a half second.
Now,
And you
Josh,
can't
isn't
even
part
turn
of it,
away from it before then.
isn't it part of it that it's such a salacious thing, the view of it, that the brain, you know, I guess it's just a part of our brain that wants more of it. It just
Well, what
is
happens
designed-
is the prefrontal cortex of our brain is where morality, that's where you weigh decisions, make moral choices. It's called the prefrontal cortex. In the back of your brain is a small system called the limbic system. It's pure, raw emotions. When a child is born up to about 20, they're mainly operating out of their limbic system. This is why parents will say, what in the world were you thinking? They weren't. Why? These pornographic images are so powerful. Research now shows they instantly will bypass your prefrontal cortex and go directly to your limbic system. And that's why I developed the phrase, when you give in to your cravings, you give up on your reasoning. You cannot reason.
Okay,
That's
on that
why-
note, that's a great point, and we're going to go to a break. And when we come back, we're going to ask Linda and Josh to share some final comments and advice that could help you or someone you love. See you after the break. You don't want to miss this.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
We're talking about the growth of porn use by children, something every parent and caregiver needs to be concerned about. If parents don't get involved in the process, this problem will get out of hand. It is an epidemic. So let's hear what our guests, Josh and Linda, have to give as advice for you as a parent or caregiver to better manage that environment at home and keep your kids safe. Because if you don't do it, nobody will. Josh, what would you have to say?
I was just going to say, I think you have to assume that your children are being exposed to it. You cannot you cannot go on the assumption that they have not been exposed to it. And that's even, I think you've made a comment, Josh, that you should start talking about it in utero as soon as they're born.
Absolutely. I would say, first of all, if the parents do not build a loving, intimate, connecting relationship with their child, they're not going to influence them. Truth without relationships leads to rejection. Porn without relationships leads to rebellion. Kids respond to truth in a context relationship. You go to my website, josh.org/7A's of parenting. And there's 7 principles that can literally transform a family. Second, as Linda brought out, I believe that you must have built into your child by 5 years old a concept of sexuality. As a Christian, I say a solid, positive, biblical concept of sexuality. Why? Because pornographers say we get a child by 11, we'll have them for the rest of their life, and the average age of starting is 8 years old. I believe in pastors' homes, it's 4 to 6 years old, which is a terrible thing. But if you do not have built into them a healthy, beautiful, positive view of sexuality, when they see porn, not if, when they see porn, most young people cannot detect a counterfeit from the original. And most people today, young people, because they've never been taught a positive concept of sexuality, they have a misconception of sexuality through porn. And we've got to have a relationship. We got to teach them young. Third, well, I won't have time to go into more.
I was just going to say there is a book out, and you can remember who the author is, perhaps, Josh. But that Good Pictures, Bad Pictures is a good one to look for young children, elementary children, to start saying, there are some things you should look at, there are some things you should not look at. And like you said, building a basis of what a normal and good sexuality looks like, doesn't hurt, it loves, it cares for another person, will set them in a position to be able to determine this is a bad picture.
I've gone through so many of those books. Her first name is Kimberly. She's a Mormon writer, but oh, is she good. I mean, she's not tuning Mormonism, nothing. She's laying it out there. And it's the best book for children, I believe, in pornography. Good Pictures, Bad Pictures is excellent. And then there's one by Dr. Ted Roberts. It's called Pure Desire. Also on the web, the Pure Desire website, probably puredesire.com, something like that, is one of the best in the world. Because porn is not the problem. Porn is a medication for a deeper problem in your life. And with the Pure Desire book, Dr. Ted Roberts explains that in a way that we can understand it. It's incredible.
And
Pure Desire.
Fight the New Drug is a website that offers very good information on gaming and social media and how to protect your children. So that's a new one.
You go to my website, josh.org/anti-porn website, something like that. I've taken 20 sites. There's incredible material on the web, and I've evaluated each one of them, scored them from 1 to 5 stars, and the emphasis of each one. And there are 20 sites I would recommend to others. Just go to josh.org/pornographic websites or anti-porn, something like that. Anything like that, we'll bring it up, and it's all free.
Well, there you have it. This has been a great show, a tip of the iceberg. We could go on for hours. But parents, caregivers, educators, even very young children, if they're on their computers, they could be exposed to dangerous messages. It's very important. Parents, pay attention. So thank you for joining us today on Surviving Bad. You can go to ahealthyiowa.org and find a lot of the aforementioned links and information about updates on this show. Keep your eye on Mediacom MC22 for our next episode, where we explore Iowa's stories of survival, hope, and inspiration, only on MC22 Mediacom, your local programming leader.